Hello there, Flying Fox and Barbie Productions here. So, I'm going to be doing a very special video, and it's a video I've never done before. This video will be me sharing you my top 15 favorite British standard gauge steam engines. So yeah, I've never done this before, and it's sure going to be very exciting, because I've seen loads of other, like, railway enthusiast YouTubers doing their own top 10 or top 15 list of their favorite locomotives. So I figured, why shouldn't I do one of my own? And also, this video was inspired by Chris Eden Green, so big shout out to him. And yeah, I'm absolutely excited about this. So yeah, I've written them down on a piece of paper. I'm not going to show you the paper since I don't want to spoil anything, but I've written them on a piece of paper. No, I'm just going to show you the paper, but I'm going to blur out the stuff. See, I made like this. You can see, look, it's a magical paper. Like, look, you can't see what is written, but I can see it because it's magical. You can see it, I can see it, but you can't. Yeah. Even when I move it like this. Anyway, enough fooling around. We'll just get into it. And also, disclaimer, this video is all my opinion. If you guys have different opinions and you guys have your own personal favorites that are not on this list, then that's completely fine. You have your opinions, I have mine. And it should be fine. Since, I do not want any arguments or something. I do not want to be the one who starts those arguments. So, yeah, let's waste no more time and let's go to number 15. The Great Western 57XX pannier tanks and the Great Western 94XX pannier tanks. I know these two are on the same spot is because I have the same opinions about both of them. So let's start off with the 57X. No, let's not. No, we'll just do both since I have the same opinions about these two. Both the 57XX and the 94XXs are just sort of basic in a way. They're pannier tanks. These things are literally everywhere. I know the 94XXs are more rarer, but to be fair, two of them only exist at the moment. But still, they are still just everywhere. I know there are more pannier tanks, but the 5700s, they're like literally on every single heritage railway. Like, you just see them all the time when you go to heritage railways. Everyone knows the 57XXs from either the Railway Children or the Railway series. But still, these things are just everywhere. But the 94XXs, but still, I know that you don't see the 9400s often. They are a bit more unique than the 5700s. Having a different type of smoke box and the side tanks being placed a bit further back, and that they have a bigger cab, a bit wider, more longer than the 57XXs. But still, the 57XXs, yeah. But that doesn't mean that they're very bad in a way. That doesn't mean I hate them. These two, they're just basic, but in a way, I do like them. I can't help but like them, because who doesn't like the pannier tanks? I do know some people who do not like the 94XXs, trust me, but anyways, that's not the most important part. What I'm trying to say is that these two are both on the down list is because they are not the most interesting, but they are interesting in a way. So yeah, not that much to say about these two. Then move on to number 14. The LMS Ivatt 2 and T260s. These things, I'm not, like I said, they're sort of like the 57XXs. They're not the most interesting of engines, but they're also in a way interesting at the same time. I'll go for the things I like about them. I like that I just like the wheel arrangement, the 260 mogul. I like the tender design, but that's literally about it, I have to say. Again, kind of like the pannier tanks. I can't hate them because there's like every single rail fan likes them, and I just can't help but liking them. But at the same time, I just can't help but think that they're a bit dull. Like they're not really dull. Like there's just something about it that just makes me just like them. But they're not the most best. Like there are other engines out there that would make me turn my head around and pay attention to them. So yeah, the Ivatt 2 and T260s, they're not the best engines, but they're also not the worst engines. So yeah, not that much to say about them, other than that they are okay. They're okay. Number 13. LMS Ivatt 2NT tank engines. Yep, I know. These things, in my opinion, are a bit of an improvement over the Ivatt 2NT 260s. Why? The reason why I like the Ivatt 2NT tanks more than the Ivatt 2NT 260s is because, for me, they are more interesting in design. These things have these sandboxes placed on the running board, which also gave them the nickname the Mickey Mouse tanks, which I still find it very funny to this day, well, in a good way. And they also have these, I just think they're just more better, because I just like it. I don't know, there's just something about it that just makes it more better than 260s. I don't know, is it because that it's a big tank engine, or is it because that it just looks more unique, or is it because it has more character to it, or is it because that it was nicknamed the Mickey Mouse tanks, just as a funny nickname? I don't know, either of these. But still, the Ivatt 2MT tanks are great, and I would always like to ride on one whenever I go to any heritage railway. Yeah. Let's move on to number 12. The BR Standard Class 9Fs. I know, you guys were expecting this to be in like the top list, but yeah, these things, I don't think they're really the most best and the most interesting of engines. Like, don't get me wrong, these things are great, they are useful. Like, these things, they can haul like any goods train. These are also the strongest engines ever built in the UK, so of course I would like them. Like, I love big locomotives and very strong locomotives. Yeah, so like I like these engines because of their looks and their efficiency or capacity. I don't know if those are the words I'm trying to say, but still, the 9Fs, they're good. They're just good. I just like those smoke deflectors, the high running board, and the 210 wheel arrangement, which is a very unique wheel arrangement in my opinion. And yeah, but like still nothing that much about them other than they are just there. They're just goods engines, and that's it. But they're not certainly bad. They do have some character to them, but they're not the best engines in my opinion. You have nothing that much to say about the 9Fs, and then they are just good. They're just good engines. I don't hate them. They are just good. I always love seeing a 9.0 because of how much it dwarfs me, because I stood right next to 3 9Fs. When I stood right next to them, these things were massive. Well, it should be, since, you know, they should be tall, since they're the biggest engines in the UK, but still, these things just dwarf me, and I just can't get over how massive they are. Like seriously, like Riddle's really put all his time and effort to make the biggest locomotive in the UK be the biggest and the strongest one, and also look very good at the same time. So yeah, the 9Fs are great. And I mean, the 9Fs are good. They're just good. They're just good machines altogether. Number 11. The BR Standard 4MT tanks. Sort of like the 57X6s, these things are just everywhere. Like, they are actually, you can find the Standard 4MT tanks on almost every single heritage railway. Like, they are scattered across the country. Or they're also scattered in Scotland too. I think there is one in Scotland. I'm not sure. But still, these things are just. So what do I like about the Standard 4MT tanks? Well, I am a person who likes big locomotives, as I may have mentioned, but like big tank engines, it just surprises me how tank engines can be very big. And like these things, I also like them because they are go-anywhere machines. They can do any job. They can haul goods trains, passenger trains, shunting, those type of stuffs. They can just do any job. I don't think they can do, or apart from express work, I don't think the standard 4MT tanks have done express work. I don't think so. But still, 4MT tanks are just great. I know that they are literally like everywhere, scattered across the country. Honestly, they're literally everywhere, trust me. But I do not mind that they are everywhere. Like, they are great machines. Like, I just like how they go anywhere machines. I think they're great engines. So the standard 4MT tanks are great engines, and there's nothing bad about them. It's just that they're just go anywhere machines, and that's it. They can just do any job, but they're also good at the same time. There's not that much about them, but there is, in a way, sort of much about them, if you could take my meaning. So, let's move on to number 10. LMS Black 5s. So yeah, sort of like the standard 4MT tanks, these are go-anywhere machines, but I still like them. I know that there are some more prettier LMS engines, like, you know, the Jubilees and the Royal Scots, but still, I think the Black 5s are very, in a way, sort of better than them. In my opinion. It's just my opinion, you guys have your opinions. So, yeah, this is just my opinion. The Black 5s, they are just great in every way. I just like the pistons, the boiler, and seeing them race past at the main line at top speed. You just get this sort of great feeling. I know that there are times where I think it's just basic and I just want to go see another engine. But there are also times where I think that this is actually a very pretty looking steam engine. I have mixed opinions on it. I think it's not very interesting, but there are times where I think that it is interesting and very cool to look at. So yeah, the Black 5s are great engines. Like, yeah, they're just going with machines like the standard 4MT tanks, but they're also great. Like, I like the Black 5s. They're great engines. So, moving on to number 9. BR standard 4MT 460s. I know, this is one of the more dull engines in your opinion. I know this is one of the more boring engines for you guys, but for me, the reason why it's better than the engines I've covered so far on this list is because I think that the standard 4MT 460s have they have such a character, which is so, I don't know, I know that they're very basic. I know that they suffered through loads of troubles over its early years, but they do work so well with Heritage Railways. In Heritage Railways, they work so great, just like its tank engine cousins. That's my dog barking. Give me a minute. Sorry about that. So anyway, the BR standard 4MT 460s, they just have something which is, they have in a sort of way a different sort of character than the rest of the engines so far in this list. And I don't know what it is. That's just the thing. I don't know why I love it. I don't know why I think it's great. I just think that it looks great, and I just can't explain it, because I don't know why. But still, even though I don't have a reason to why I love it, or anyway, I do have a reason, I just think that it looks great. I am a fan of the BR built locomotives. I know some of them are just boring and dull to all of you, but in my eyes, the BR standards are very great. They may be basic, but they're also good at the same time. So yeah, this 4MT 460s, I do not care whether they're single chimney or double chimney, or has a big tender or a small tender. They are just good in every way. They are just very efficient. well, not really 100% efficient. They did have loads of problems back during the BR era of Steam. They did have loads of problems, but at least some of them survived in the preservation. So that's a good thing at least. So yeah, let's move on to number 8. So this is the part where so from numbers 8 to 1 is the part where we go to the engines that I absolutely do adore so much. So this is where we're going to start from the least adore to the one that I most adore. I think you know what I mean. So yeah, let's move on to number 8. The LMS Fairburn tanks. Everything about these tank engines is just massive. I love the LMS Fairburn tanks. They're basically the tank engine version of a Black 5, in a way. Only that they were not built by William Stanier, they were actually built by someone Fairburn. I forgot the first name. I should research it. I'm not an expert, sorry about that. I think that was Fairburn's only design, I think. Anyway, so the LMS Fairburn tanks, these are my favorite tank engines in the entire world. I love seeing one, especially in video. I like seeing them, like how massive they are, and like I said, it always surprises me how a tank engine can be a big, strong machine. And like it always surprises me how a tank engine could be very strong. Like I've seen a photo of one LMS Fairburn tank standing right next to the furnace railway number 20, which is a tender engine, and the Fairburn tank is bigger than the furnace number 20. Like literally, it's bigger. And it always surprises me how a tank engine can be bigger than a tender engine. It just surprised me. So the Fairburn tanks, they are big. They're just big, and that's why I love them. They're just big tank engines. They're my ultimate favorite tank engines. And fun fact, the standard 4MT tanks were actually based on the Fairburn tanks. So that's something, I guess. So these two do loads of common. They are go-anywhere machines that can do any job. And these things are big as tank engines. So yeah. So even though they actually are very rare, only 2 of them exist, and surprisingly, they're both preserved on the same railway. That's very great. So I would love to see one of those 2 Fairburn tanks someday when they're like released from overhaul or are like under static display. I don't know. So yeah, the Fairburn tanks are great engines altogether. So let's move on to number 7. The LNER Thompson B1s and the Great Western Saint 460s. I know, again, these two are on the same list because I sort of have the same opinions on them. So let's start with the B1. The B1, everything about it is just awesome. I just love the look of it. The running board, the foot plate, everything about the Thompson B1 is great. This is my ultimate favorite design by Edward Thompson. The same guy who made the very awful... We'll get into that later. The B1s were absolutely great machines. It was actually Edward Thompson's most successful designs, and I can see why it was the most successful. It was very efficient, and it also was very useful. The B1s are just great machines, and they're also very attractive in my eyes, especially Mayflower. Like, she's a very attractive engine, especially in the apple green. I just love. So the B1s are one of the greatest engines designed by the LNER and the greatest engine by Edward Thompson. So thumbs up to him. So now let's move on to the Great Western Saint 460s. So yeah, I more prefer the Great Western Saint 460s rather than the 442s because the 442s just doesn't work as a Great Westerner. Anyways, so the Great Western Saint 460s, kind of the same as the B1s. They are very attractive. They're also very beautiful to look at, and but the only difference is that I don't think they were the most successful engines built by the Great Western Railway. They were not I think, but the Atlantics were not very successful. Well, thank goodness they were not very successful, because then none of the Saints would have been very great, and I would have not liked them. So yeah, I would prefer the 460s because it just works. Great Western tender engines can't work if it was an Atlantic. I more like a Great Western Express mixed traffic tender engine when it's like a 460 or a 260. Or either of those. So yeah, the Great Western Saints are great, and I'm so happy that Lady of Legend carries the legacy of the Great Western Saints. And also, Lady of Legend was actually rebuilt from a Great Western Hall class, and then it was turned into a Great Western Saint. So yeah, that's pretty something, I guess. I have seen Lady of Legend 2 times when I went to the Discord Railway Center. It just looks so attractive. You know, like the running board, the boiler, the tender. I don't mind how very tiny the cab is, because the cab is actually not very long. It's actually kind of short. And also, they didn't even have any seats, so we have to like stand up all the time when you're driving it. That's one downgrade about the Great Western Saints. But other than that, they are great engines. So the B1s and the Saints are both at the same peak of great. They are awesome engines. I love them. Now let's move on to number 6. The Great Western King classes. Everything about these engines is just massive. The boiler, the wheels, the rods, the slide bars, the tender, the firebox, everything about it is big. Every single part of this engine is big, and that's why I love it. I know that they were not the most successful engines, they were not the best performers, but they were also, I do not mind if they were not the best performers. They are absolutely awesome engines. The Great Western Kings are just so good, and one of the greatest examples of a Great Western Express engine. And also, it's basic. So these things are basically the biggest engines ever built by the Great Western Railway. That's what I love about it, because they're the biggest engines built by the Great Western Railway. Well, we'll get into that again. Like I said. So yeah, the Great Western Kings are just awesome engines because of how massive they are. I don't care if they were not the most successful. They are very great, and it's a good thing that 3 of them are preserved. King Edward II, King Edward I, and King George V. And my favorite is King Edward II, since, not because that was the only one I've seen so far, because it's painted in BR blue, and the Great Western King looks so striking in BR blue, in my opinion. BR blue is actually one of my favorite colors for a steam engine. I love BR blue. So yeah, the King classes are great engines altogether, and I'll never get sick of seeing them, and I'll never get bored of seeing one, especially in videos. These are awesome engines. Now let's move on to number 5. The Great Western Castles. The Great Western Castles. No, castles. I pronounce it castles, not castles. The Great Western Castles are my most favorite Great Western Railway steam engines in the world, and you can't deny it. These things look so great. They were also the most successful engines ever made by the Great Western Railway. So it's no doubt that these were that good amount of them are preserved. I think 8 of them are preserved, or 7, I think. I don't know. So yeah, the Great Western Castles are awesome engines. I just love the looks. I do not care if one of them is fitted with the ugly double chimney or the Hawksworth tender. These things are awesome in every way. It's very satisfying to see them puffing along the main line at top speed, and riding behind one just feels like so grand in my opinion. Whenever I go behind like a Great Western Express engine, I feel very grand. Like this engine is very grand. I love it. The castles are great engines. And my favorite castle class is Pendennis Castle. I think it's the oldest working castle currently. But this is it's not because that was the only castle I've seen in operational use. It's just I just love. I'm just pointing that out, just saying. I don't know why Pendennis Castle is my favorite castle, but it's a great engine. So the Great Western Castles are my favorite Great Western steam engines about it, and you can't deny it, but they are absolutely awesome engines. They were their most successful engines by the Great Western Railway. They were also very attractive, pretty cool, and very efficient. So yeah, the Great Western Castles are awesome. Now let's move on to number 4. Oh, here we go. We're getting close to the first one. So let's go on to number 4. The BR Standard 5NTs. I know that these things were like rip-offs of the, well, like basically Robert Riddle's answer to the LMS Black 5s, but in my opinion, the Standard 5NTs are a bit more better than the Black 5. It's because they're more rarer than the Black 5, so it makes it more like you will feel more interested in the 5NT since they're more rarer. I know they were not the most successful. I mean, the reason why I say that they were like copies of the Black 5s is because their boiler, it's like the Standard 5NT's boilers were from the Black 5s, and they had the same wheel arrangement, a 460. So yeah, the BR Standard 5NTs, they are great. Like I just love seeing one. They are just massive. It's basically the LMS Black 5 on steroids. That's all I can say about the Standard 5NTs. They're basically the Black 5s on steroids. And that's what I like about it. It's like an improved version of the Black 5s. But like, they're just great. I just love the BR Standard 5NTs. I do not care if one of them has the very ugly Capirotti valve gear. I'm not a big fan of the Capirotti valve gear. But like, they are just great in every way. They just look perfect. And I'm so happy that some of them are preserved. Like, it's more than I think 5 or 6 or 4 are preserved, but still that's a good enough. That's a good amount of them that exist. So good thing that some of them do exist. So yeah, the Standard 5s are great machines altogether, and that's all there is to it. They're just great engines altogether. So number 3. BR Standard 7NT Britannias. This is my favorite steam locomotive ever built by Robert Riddles, and my favorite BR built locomotive. Like, you can't deny, the Britannia looks striking. Like, whenever, like, express engines with smoke deflectors, like with these types of smoke deflectors, it just makes them very grand and very striking, to say the least. These things are just, the Britannias are awesome engines. I always love seeing one at full speed. I always like seeing, even when I see them pulling goods trains, then they are they still look very presentable, and they still look very great. The Britannias, they're just awesome. I love seeing one, especially in videos. Also, unfortunately, only 2 of them are only preserved, which is 70,000 Britannia, the first one, and 70013 Oliver Cromwell. No, Oliver Cromwell? I'm not sure. But still, and also, speaking of Britannia, number 70,000, on the 30th of November, I'm actually going to see Britannia on a rail tour. Like, I'm going to do some filming shots from London Victoria Station, filming the Britannia at London Victoria, and then go to Cheam Station to see and pass by. So yeah, it's going to be a very great day seeing her. So yeah, I'm very excited for that. But anyways, the Britannias are awesome engines altogether, and I love them so much. They are great. Nothing bad about them whatsoever. They may have not been the most successful engines, but they certainly are very pretty, in my opinion. The Britannias are awesome in every way, and I'll never get sick of seeing them. Kind of like the Standard 5NTs and the rest of the already covered. Now, number 2. The Bulleid Pacifics and the LNER A4s. These 2 are on the list because I have the same opinions about them. I know that there are like 4, in a way, 5 types of Bulleid Pacifics. The Merchant Navies, the Battle of Britons, and the West Country classes. So yeah, I'm gonna first start with the Bulleid Pacifics. the Bulleid Pacifics. These are my favorite Southern Railway engines in the entire world. I do not care if they're like whether they're rebuilt or unrebuilt, a Battle of Britain, a Merchant Navy, or a West Country class. These things are awesome engines in every way. I always love seeing them. I love the wheels, the piston rods, the whistles, the smooth casing on rebuilt versions. I love seeing it going at speed. This is a perfect example of a Southern Railway Express engine, in my opinion. These things are just attractive. Whenever I see a Bulleid Pacific, I'm always like in love with them. Like my eyes turn into heart whenever I see a Bulleid Pacific. Well, not really, but like it just makes me like I adore the Bulleid Pacific so much. Every single one of them is beautiful. These things are so attractive. They're beautiful in every single way. These things are just they are romantic steam engines. They are the perfect examples of a Southern Railway Express engine, in my opinion. And I'm so happy that loads of them are preserved. You know, we've got Clan Line, Canadian Pacific, Sir Keith Park, 257 Squadron, 92 Squadron, Weybridge, Bodmin. We got loads of Bulleid Pacifics in preservation. I'm so happy about this. And also, there is another Merchant Navy that is actually currently on overhaul. This engine was almost scrapped, but now it's going to be under overhaul. It's going to take a long time since what's left of it is just it's part of the wheels and the boiler. It's number 35009 Shore Seville. And I'm so happy that there's going to be another Merchant Navy in preservation. So yeah, that means more Bulleid Pacifics in preservation and in service. So I'm so happy that the Bulleid Pacifics are literally like everywhere. These things are awesome in every way. I adore the Bulleid Pacifics and there's nothing bad about them whatsoever. Nothing bad. Now let's move on to the LNER A4s. Same as the Bulleid Pacifics. I love the A4s. These are my favorite. This is my favorite design by Sir Nigel Gresley. And it's also the same class from the very famous Mallard, the fastest steam engine in the entire world. So yeah, just saying that. The A4s are striking. I love the streamlined look they have on their fronts. I love seeing them at speed. And I love hearing those chime whistles they have. I don't care if they're single chimney or double chimney, they're very great engines whatsoever. The corridor tenders, or they don't have corridor tenders, they are awesome. The running board and side stuff on the wheels, just the streamliningness to it is just, I can't help but say how much I love them. They are just awesome in every way. The A4s are awesome. Every single A4 is great. Sir Nigel Gresley, Union of South Africa, Bittern, Mallard, Dominion of Canada, Dwight David Eisenhower, all of them. All of the 8 preserved A4s. I think Bittern was once dressed as Dominion of New Zealand. I think. I'm not sure, but I think that was the case. So yeah, all of these engines are awesome. The A4s are perfect. These are the perfect examples of a British streamliner. They are the perfect examples of them. So yeah, both the Bulleid Pacifics and the A4s, they are both perfect examples of British Express engines. These are awesome. They are great in every way. But before we get to my number 1, we're gonna do the complete opposite. We're gonna do my least favorite steam locomotives. Well, British standard gauge steam locomotives. So yeah, I've written them all down on the other side of the paper. And we're going to start from, the first 2 of them will be from the least worst, and then the remaining 5 will be the most worst. From the least worst, the least worst to the most worst. And some of them you already know, which is one of my least favorite, but some you may find shocking. Again, all of this is just my opinion, so if you can, before you sue me for saying that these engines are not my favorites, then I'm sorry, but that's just my opinion. We all have our own perspectives. So yeah, let's get on with it. The LNER A3 Flying Scotsman. I know, it is shocking that the world's famous steam locomotive is on the list, but it's not the most worst, so I'll tell you why. I just do not like how it has German smoke deflectors. It just ruins its British his British, like, blood in it. It just feels like a German engine mixed with a British engine. And also, I do not like its current livery. I more prefer it without the German smoke deflectors and in apple green. Like, I like the Gresley A3s. Heck, even my own OC is a Gresley A3 or an A1. These things, like, look, the Flying Scotsman, I do not understand why it's so popular. Well, I do know why it's so popular, but I just I'll never understand why it's so popular. There are other engines out there that do deserve to be popular, like Mallard or Tornado or the Hawkins Express, which is a whole class. But still, these, like, I'd never understand why the Flying Scotsman's so popular. Whenever I say, hey, Flying Scotsman this, Flying Scotsman that, Flying Scotsman, I say, shut up, stop it, I want Flying Scotsman. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of this engine whatsoever. But I'm not saying it's bad, it's just too popular. That's the main issue I have with it. Number 6. The BR Standard 8 Duke of Gloucester. I am not the biggest fan of this engine, but all I can describe it, it's below average. Like, it's not an engine I would like to ride behind on a day-to-day basis, but it's also not the worst engine too. Like, I'm not a big fan of the Capirotti valve gear, the weird running board it has, and that tender just doesn't look well on this engine in my eyes. It just more works for a 9F, in my opinion, and a Britannia. It just doesn't work for this type of engine. The Duke of Gloucester was actually the only BR Standard Class 8 build. Well, good riddance that not more of them were built, since they're not the best looking engine in my opinion. Like I said, the Duke of Gloucester is just below average. It's not an engine I would like to ride behind on a day-to-day basis. It's also not the worst engine too. Sort of is. So, number 5, the Great Western 97XXs. What else can I say about this engine other than what's with those side tanks? It looks like a Great Western pannier tank mixed with a London Brighton South Coast Railway E2. I'm not a big fan of the side tanks, and it's so stupid, it's so janky. Number 4, the Great Western Streamlined Castles and Kings. Why are these smoke box doors and the streamline looks so hideous? And it doesn't even look so streamlined, but the front looks pretty alright, but the rest, like the smoke box door for instance, is so hideous. Why does it look so round? It kind of looks like a Pennsylvania Railroad T1 or a Norfolk and Western J-Class, only British and smaller. The Great Western Castles and Kings as streamlines do not work. The original Castles and Kings are the superior ones. The Great West, I despise the streamlined version of the Castles and the Kings. Number 3, the Great Western Cathedrals. What else can I say about this engine? It's too massive to be a Great Westerner. Look how long it is. It's so stretched out. It's basically the LMS Princess Royals, only it's a Great Western Railway. It doesn't. Look, Great Western engines are not supposed to be super long, massive, and have large boilers and large tenders. It doesn't work on a Great Western engine. The Great Western Cathedrals are my least favorite. Are my least favorite Great Western engines in the entire world. I despise them. Number 2, the Bulleid leader. Why does it look like that? Why does it look like a diesel engine even though it's really a steam engine? This thing is just not very efficient. It was supposed to build to be replacing the old M7 tanks, but they were twice their size. Working on branch would be very useless. Just look at its design. It's so hideous. It looks like one of those London unscrapped battery logos that we filled to the brim with steroids and mounted on some bricks. It's just hideous. I'm not a fan of Bulleid either. I know Bulleid have good intentions, but still, it's not a very great design. It's rubbish. Now, to the worst one of them all, the LNER Thompson A2 structures. Why does this monstrosity of a steam engine exist? This is the worst steam engine in the entire world. What with those pistons being placed so far back? It makes it look very uglier with those pistons. What's with those tiny smoke deflectors? Worst of all, why did it change? This thing was a rebuild of one of my favorite London Northeastern Railway Gresley engines, the P2s. They were rebuilds of the LNER P2s and then made them very ugly. They turned them from express engines of Scotland to being typical mixed traffic engines. Yeah, totally good for taking goods. These things are just horrible. I do not know what was Edward Thompson thinking when making this. I know he had good intentions, but still, it's an awful design. It's stupid, it's a janky looking engine, it's messed up. I don't know why it exists, and thank God that none of them are preserved and exist. And it's a good thing that 2 P2s are being built rather than the A2 Stroke 2s. So go rust in the scrapyards, you are done. My number 1 favorite British standard gauge engine is I think you already know which one it is. The Peppercorn A1 Tornado. Oh my god, Tornado. I adore this engine so much. Everything about this is just pretty. The BR apple green is spectacular. The smoke deflectors are awesome looking. The front smoke box looks great. I always love the BR the BR number plates with the white parts on the smoke box door. I forgot what they're called, but it just looks so striking. Tornado is an awesome engine in every single way. I know there are other Peppercorn A1s out there, but Tornado just seems to have more character than the other A1 Peppercorns. I just love seeing them. I love seeing the Tornado. She's an absolutely gorgeous machine. She just looks so awesome whenever she goes at high speeds. I always love seeing her in either BR green or BR blue. She looks striking in every way. From every angle, of every point of view, she looks spectacular. I always loved her ever since I was a child, and a few weeks ago I was able to see her for the first time. And I always loved her. Like from that day on, I loved Tornado even more. Her legacy will always be a true place in my heart. And I do not know why Tornado was my favorite son, but like, there was just something about her that just made her look so attractive. I love Tornado so much. I adore her so much. So much so that if like she was like a human or something, then she would be my ultimate hero or my crush. What am I saying? So yeah, Tornado is a great engine altogether. She's just magnificent in every way. Like, I'll never get tired of seeing him or her, or whatever you want, what kind of gender you want Tornado to be, I don't know. Tornado is just beautiful. She's an awesome engine that will always remain in my heart, and I'll never get bored of seeing her till the very end. And even if I'll never get to drive her, because my ultimate dream is to drive Tornado from King's Cross to Edinburgh. If that will be possible, this will be the best thing I have ever done. And Tornado, like I know that you're a new build engine, but you have already come so much. You have already come far for how little you sort of lived. Like you lived for like more than 16, 15 years, but still, you have done. You went far. You have done so well, Tornado. Well, thank you so much, Tornado, for being in my heart. You are a great steam engine, and there'll never be anything wrong about you till the very end. You will be an awesome engine. So there you have it. These are my top 15 favorite steam locomotives. Wow. Since I had 1 and a 2 and 3, so I think it should more be the top 18, more like, since I've added 3 more engines to the list only on the same spot as some of the other engines, so it should have more been the top 18. But anyway, I digress. So yeah, hope you all enjoyed this video, like the video, and subscribe most of all, follow my DeviantArts too, and my Instagram. So yeah, goodbye, see you all later, and have a nice day. I really enjoyed this so much.